Hi everyone, it's the Plant Propagator and welcome to my channel. Today I'm in one of my laboratories and I'd like to show you a little bit around the laboratory and show you what I do here. Behind me I've got some of the orchid seedlings and I want to show you the orchid seedlings and how they're growing. And then what I want to do is take you into the laboratory, into the hood, and show you how these seedlings are transferred from one medium in one container to a different medium in another container that allows for the different stages of growth. So let's take a look. So these are the orchid seedlings here. These are various seedlings that are growing in the laboratory. And they're growing on a charcoal containing medium shown right here. You can see there's pretty extensive root growth and shoot growth of these plants. These are different types of, in these bottles and these flasks are different types of Laelias that I'm growing. And some of them look good and some of them don't look that good, but I've got to take these and transfer them to other containers. They'll fill up the containers depending on what's in there, and then they can be deflasked and put in bark or moss or whatever is needed for the specific orchid. So let's take a look in the laboratory and we'll take a look at some of the other equipment that I work with. Okay, we are in the lab now, and if you can hear the background noise, you're in a hood, and in this area the noise that you may not be able to hear is the sterile air that's being sucked into the top of the hood and actually becomes sterilized at the vents up here and then pushed out at me. So I can work with these various orchids in these containers that are sterilized. And what I'm going to do is just transfer some of these orchids that I've been working with onto fresh media here. The instruments that I'm working with, kind of move things down just a little bit. The instruments that I'm working with are sterilized in a bead sterilizer right here, and this instrument is at 270 degrees, so it's pretty hot, so I'm going to let it cool down a little bit before I do this transfer. And then it's just a question of carefully using aseptic technique, which means we don't want any bacteria from my hands, even though I spray off with isopropanol. I don't want any bacteria. I'm not perfectly clean. And I don't want any bacteria coming off of me getting into these cultures because they will get contaminated, which is not good. But what I'm going to do is transfer some of the orchids from this into this new container right here. And the containers I use, these are mason jars, these containers, but I use also jelly containers here. Sauce containers work really well, and I just prepared this medium this afternoon. So this is freshly autoclaved, just poured it, and I will transfer this the orchid plant, the seedlings that we have, from the old medium to the new medium, and what we'll see is a flush of growth. So let me just show you how you do this. Let me see how hot the instruments are, and then I'll just kind of go through this and show you how it's done. Okay, so this container to this container, and it's simply a question of, that's a hot one. Yikes. That's not a hot one. Alright, so it's just a question of pulling these out and putting these seedlings in these new containers. And these have a little bit of roots on them, but not a large number of roots. And what we'll do is there'll be another flush of growth after this tissue is transferred. I don't know whether you probably can't see that very well, but maybe like this and like this, you might be able to see things a little better. So again, I'm pulling these plantlets out, putting them into the new container. And you don't even need to, pack them down or plant them. You can just kind of spread them around and they'll find their way. There is some unusual tissue in some of these containers, and I'll show you that in a second because I got something I want to try. I want to show you, and then I want to try as well. All right. So, oh, look at the roots on that guy right there. So, fresh medium. There'll be another surge of growth. Oop, wrong lid on the wrong container because I switched it around. Okay, the other thing that I want to do, so this was Laelia pumila, and the other thing that I want to do is transfer some tissue from this Encyclia. And there's some really unusual tissue in here that I'm hoping will form large numbers of plants, but we'll see. So I'm gonna put it in the jelly container here, and we're just gonna see what happens. All right, so I just reach in here, and I'm gonna grab some of this. This is some really interesting looking tissue. I don't know if this looks like shoot producing tissue, but it's really hard to tell, and I got a lot of it. I'll show you some a little closer also later. There's a lot of this tissue in here. So I kind of want to see what this will do. So let me get it in here, spread it around. And I don't know if it'll form shoots or what it'll do, but we'll see. Alright, I'm gonna get you a little closer view of this guy. What I'm trying to do is you can't, when you're transferring, you can't really touch this part of the forceps because it goes down in the container. You got to be careful when you drop things. You can't grab the inside of containers. There's a lot of things involved in the aseptic technique, and I just kind of want to give you a general idea of what's going on here. But let me go in here and pull this tissue and see how close. I'm going to throw this away, see how close I can get it to you, and see if you can see what it looks like. But this is what this tissue looks like. It's just bright green. That may have, sorry for the shaking, it may have some kind of shoots, it may form shoots, and that's what I'm curious about. So I want to know whether I can multiply this tissue on the medium that it's on and then generate a bunch of seedlings, a bunch of shoots of this Encyclia on this second medium. And if this type of tissue, it's a callus tissue or a multiplying PLB containing tissue. If I can multiply this tissue on one medium and then cause shoots to form, then I can really generate large numbers of this tissue. So we'll see how this goes. This will be an experiment in progress. But essentially, that's how you do it. That's how you transfer tissue aseptically in a hood, which is where we're located now, from one container to another, multiply it, and then deflasking after these things grow for another couple of months. Deflasking is the next step. We ought to take those plants, put them in bark or sphagnum, and grow those out. So that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching, and happy propagating.